What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Giant Topic. I'm your host, Christian Cruz. Let's dive into this video because what a game by the New York Giants. And clearly, I say that sarcastically. Um, this team finds different ways to lure their fans in, thinking that the season's going to be different. And I was one of those fans. And I'm not going to overreact. It's only 1 week. It's only one game. I'm not going to overreact. But given the fact that this front office and Brian Dable too sold to John Mara that the issue was Daniel Jones, which he was. He was a big issue, not the entire issue, but a big issue with the New York Giants. That he was the issue, and if we bring in another quarterback on top of drafting Abdul Carter and bringing in some other pieces, this team will look a lot better. And lo and behold, this team couldn't even score a touchdown today. The Giants could not find the end zone today. There was a lot of things that they couldn't do, and we're going to dive into it. But before we do, if you have not already, please hit that subscribe button. Leave a like below. You can find us on all social media platforms under The Giant Topic. You can find me, Christian. You can find me under Christian A. Cruz _ at the end of it on X. But let's dive into this. So let's start out with the negatives, and then we'll work our way to the positives, right? First things first, all right? Let's start with the secondary for the New York Giants. This secondary for the New York Giants is even worse than I could have ever anticipated. We saw Cordell Flott get the nod first, saw a nice pass breakup against Deebo Samuel early in the game. But outside of that, this secondary was, we're putting it nicely, Swiss cheese. I mean, Jaden Daniels, who was surgical today. I mean, just poised in the pocket, composed, throwing with great anticipation, just different arm angles and just getting the most out of his offense today. Was able to take advantage of this Giants secondary, who, I mean, I think the story of this game was second and third and long. That was the story for this game. Defensively, it did not matter that the New York Giants were able to get to Jaden Daniels, Brian Burns, should have been 3 sacks. Kayvon, 1 sack, should have been 2 sacks. Pressure in Jaden Daniels' face. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if the Washington Commanders were in third and 20, third and 16, second and 15. It did not matter. Every time the New York Giants were able to push the Commanders back, the Washington Commanders automatically responded, and they responded fiercely. I mean, we know that Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, that connection and chemistry, it's there. They just have to, oil it up a little bit. They got to get the rust off. Terry just got his contract recently, hasn't really been with the team. But in turn, Jaden Daniels was able to build chemistry with Deebo Samuel. And you saw that in effect today. You saw the Deebo Samuel effect, who I was one person. I could be very honest with you guys. I thought that Deebo Samuel would not look, entirely great in this Washington offense. I thought that he would be serviceable. I thought that, considering they like running a lot of screens, he would be very serviceable in that respect. But you saw him on the ground. You saw him getting passes deep downfield. You saw him in the intermediate range and, getting some yak. I mean, he was all over the field for the Washington Commanders. And then on top of that, you had Jaden Daniels, who it just seemed like the Giants just could not contain. And I don't want to necessarily, get on top of the Giants defense for that. There's not going to be a lot of teams in the NFL that are going to be able to contain Jaden Daniels and that are going to be able to stop Jaden Daniels. It's going to be very far and in between. But Jaden Daniels, regardless of what the Giants threw at him, he had the answers. He had the answers to the test, and he looked phenomenal today. I have to give credit to the Washington Commanders. Their offense was in sync. It was clicking. It was hot. It was everything that the New York Giants offense was not. Simply put, by the third quarter, the New York Giants had 94 total yards. 94 total yards. At the end of the game, they had, I have it right here, 231 total yards. That is unacceptable. With Andrew Thomas in the lineup or with Andrew Thomas not in the lineup, that is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Russell Wilson, who we're going to talk about again. We're going to talk about the offense in a sec. I want to go back to the defense, but Russell Wilson did not look good today. We're going to get to that in just one moment. Let's go back to the defense really quick. I think once Micah McFadden went down, you really saw the lack of depth in the linebacker room. I'm not going to get too hard on Bobby Okereke. I'm not, at least right now, I'm not going to. Thought he had some moments that he's going to want to take back. I thought that there was times on the field where, he's looking lost. Darius Muasau, the moment that Micah McFadden went down, you saw them attack Darius Muasau. Jack Ertz gets an instant touchdown. He's going to learn. It's only so much that you can expect in a late round second-year player compared to a Micah McFadden who you can argue was playing for a contract. And I hope that everything is okay. We haven't really heard too much. Hopefully by the end of this video, when you guys are watching this, we have an answer. But went out with an air cast, so we'll see what happens. But you saw the lack of depth at the linebacker play. Now, continuing with the defense, maybe it's just me. I want to go back and watch the film. But it just felt like we didn't see enough Abdul Carter on the field, especially on the edge. It felt like the second half defense was a lot better. I'm going to give them a lot of credit. The Giants' second half defense did play a lot better. Towards the end of the game, not so much. You could definitely see that they were gassed. They were giving up some big chunk plays, especially when the Giants need to score points. You see them getting gashed, and you see that they're gassed on the field. But I thought some of the adjustments that Shane Bowen made in the second half was fairly good. But again, I just felt like we didn't see enough Abdul Carter on the field. You saw him playing a lot of spy, which though I don't agree with. If you watched our game preview video, I did feel that we would see Abdul Carter playing that quarterback spy more than anything, mixed with a couple pass rush snaps. And that was kind of what we saw today. You saw a little bit of Abdul on the edge. You saw Abdul a little bit on the interior. You saw him play some quarterback spies. But then there's drives where you're saying, where is Abdul Carter? And he's not on the field. Not that he, wasn't getting production or nothing like that, but he just wasn't on the field. And, a lot of people assumed that going forward that the edge duo would be Brian Burns and Abdul Carter, and then you rotate Kayvon Thibodeaux. Well, that wasn't really the case today. You saw a lot of Kayvon and Brian Burns, which, again, those two together had 3 sacks, which that's nice to see. Brian Burns actually had the second fastest sack in the NFL for week 1 at 3.15 seconds. Shout out to Doug Analytics for that stat. But I would have thought we would have saw Abdul Carter more on the edge. They could not stop Abdul on the edge, and they just didn't really lean into that, I felt. Now, we did see a punt breakup, a partial punt breakup by Abdul Carter, which that was nice to see him on special teams get some action. But, as a whole, the defense has to be better. There's no excuse. The offense, you can make some excuses, right? But defensively, which a lot of people are banking on to be one of the better defensive lines, if not a top 3 defensive line, had its moments today, but they could have played a lot better, especially when it came to containing Jaden Daniels and tackling. This Giants defense cannot tackle for the life of them. And this feels like a year in and year out thing with this Giants defense, just poor tackling. And it costs them. It costs them big time. There were quite a few drives where the Giants were able to get the Commanders in second and third long situations, and bad tackling resulted into them cutting those plays, if not picking up the first down, but cutting those plays into what was a 30-15 or a 30-17 to now it's a 4th and 2. It's more manageable, or they would pick it up. So defense needs to be better. The defense absolutely needs to be better. Let's go to the offense. Wow. I would really hope that Andrew Thomas can see the field next week, because if not, we might see Jackson start next week. I'm gonna just put that out there right now. If Andrew Thomas is not going to be on the field, I would not be shocked if the Giants are down by 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys and we see some Jackson Dart action. I just would not be shocked. James Hudson, in my honest opinion, should never get another starting snap for the New York Giants. I thought James Hudson looked terrible out there. He looked terrible in the preseason. And you paid him the money that you paid him to be your swing tackle. And my goodness, I felt like I was watching Joshua Ezekiel again. It was horrible, horrible. I'm saying to myself, there's no way that Marcus Bowe can't give us the same production, if not better, than what we're seeing from James Hudson. And I understand that you paid him the money that you paid him. I understand you don't want to throw Marcus Bowe into a situation that he may not be ready for. But if you're Brian Dable, you cannot afford to lose games. And the Giants, for the majority of this game, were down 8 points, and it felt like they were down 3 touchdowns. So I'm saying to myself, this offensive line looked bad. I'm not saying it would have looked that much better with Andrew Thomas, though I do think it would have looked, improved. I thought the interior looked bad today as well, especially from Greg Van Roten. I thought, personally, me personally, I thought Greg Van Roten could have played a lot better. I thought Jermaine Illuminor played okay, but James Hudson, in my opinion, should never see the field again. If Andrew Thomas is not going to be in the lineup, put Marcus Bowe at left tackle. I'm so sorry. This offensive line was not that great when it came to pass protecting. They weren't better when it came to the run game. I mean, how could you? How could you really be? How can you really expect this New York Giants team to be good when your offensive line can't really help your quarterback out? And Russell Wilson, don't get me wrong, there were times where he held on to the ball too long. He ran into sacks when, he might have had someone downfield. He could have just thrown the ball out of bounds. But this offensive line, I mean, Jesus Christ, excuse me, it just did not look good today. Russell Wilson looked uncomfortable out there. He looked very uncomfortable out there. And I can't necessarily say I blame him either. Again, it's week one, guys. It is week one. I'm not going to overreact. I'm just pointing out what I see. But even though I'm pointing this out and I'm taking a note of it, I'm not going to overreact. I don't think that the sky is falling. But Russell Wilson did not look comfortable back there. And you could see that. You could clearly see that. I mean, he's extending plays with his legs. He's having the pocket collapse. And I understand that you're under duress, but there's times I'm saying to myself, you got to get the ball out. You got to get the ball out here. And you could tell that he's just looking for the deep shot. He's looking for someone downfield. And I appreciate it that you're keeping your eyes downfield, but let's live to see the next down. Let's not take a big sack here, which we saw quite a bit in this game. And I think Russ will be better. Or at least you hope that he will be better going forward. But just not a good game by Russ. We saw some bad mental errors from Russ today. Again, he just looked uncomfortable. I thought he held on to the ball too long in certain situations. Theo Johnson, oh my goodness, Theo Johnson, man. I mean, it just felt like the drops were just consistent with him. And you had fans this season wanted to get rid of Daniel Bellinger due to the fact that if you cut him, you got some cap relief. I'm not cutting, and I've said this on X as well. I am not cutting Daniel Bellinger due to what he brings to this offense. And I always felt that Daniel Bellinger didn't get a fair shake since we've drafted him. We've tried replacing him since we drafted him. And in my honest opinion, I mean, Theo Johnson today just reinforced that we need to see Daniel Bellinger get some more starting snaps as well. Red zone offense, atrocious. Tyrone Tracy, if you have not, you can go on our X account, the Giant Topic, and see the clip there. Or you could go on YouTube and find Tyrone Tracy's interview with the Nightcap podcast, hosted by Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson. On that podcast, Tyrone Tracy spoke about a lot of things. But the number one thing that really caught my attention that he spoke about, and they really put an emphasis on in their conversation with Tyrone Tracy, was the fact that the Giants could not score points. And Shannon Sharp asked him, what is going to be the biggest difference this year for you guys? What do you feel is going to be the key to success for you guys? And Tyrell Tracy flat out said, we need to score points. We need to be better in the red zone. We can't settle for threes. You're not going to win that way in the NFL. And he's absolutely right. And what did the New York Giants do today? 0-13 in the red zone. I mean, it's like the Giants are allergic to scoring points. We saw that last year. It feels like we see this year in and year out. And again, it's only week one. Mike Kafka didn't have his best game calling plays, especially in the red zone. But this is something that really needs to be addressed. This is something that really needs to be emphasized when you look at the film, when everyone's in study hall. This really needs to be emphasized because you cannot have another season where you're scoring more field goals than scoring touchdowns. The Giants cannot afford that to happen. And if that's the case, then I'm sorry, then I don't want to debate job security here with anybody, at least as of right now. But if that's the case, then Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, they got to go. They have to go. It is inexcusable as to why the New York Giants cannot score points. You saw the frustration from Malik Neighbors, and I felt like his frustration perfectly captured how Giants fans were feeling from all across the nation today. It was insane to me how, you're thinking to yourself, okay, we understand that James Hudson's going to be in the lineup, but you have Malik Neighbors, you have Tyrone Tracy, you have what you're hoping is a better quarterback in Russell Wilson under center. We should be able to score points. I mean, shoot, I had them scoring 31 points and they couldn't even score a single touchdown today. I look crazy. A lot of Giants fans look crazy. And it is what it is. It's only week one. I feel like I sound like a broken record and I apologize. But this is not a good look for the New York Giants. Now, look, we got the negatives out the way. Let's talk a little bit of positives. There's not much, but let's talk a little bit of positives today. Cam Scatterbo, my goodness, the human bowling ball. I mean, what a draft selection by Joe Shane. I mean, a lot of people have their questions on Cam Scatterbo. Is he going to be able to translate well into the NFL? How is he going to look? And I thought both in pass blocking situations, catching the ball out of the backfield, lining up in the backfield to taking handoffs. I thought that Cam Scatterbo looked pretty solid. You saw the physicality from Cam Scatterbo, which truthfully this Giants team has lacked, especially at the running back position for quite some time. And even though it was a 2-yard catch, I mean, it took like 4 people to get Cam Scatterbo down. My goodness. I mean, there was a big play to Malik Neighbors where Washington is sending the blitz, and Cam Scatterbo perfectly picks up the blitz, and Russell Wilson's able to have just that little bit of time to hit Malik Neighbors for a big play. Those little details are so important and are so crucial for this New York Giants team who can't afford to miss those little minute details, which they typically do. And that's something that we're used to seeing. But that's something that stood out to me. I love that from Cam Scatterbo. I'm really excited to see how he's going to look the rest of the season. He's someone that I've been very vocal about on social media that I'm really excited to see how he looks. I think he brings a level of physicality that we've been lacking. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him. Malik Neighbors was Malik Neighbors today. There was times where, you're saying to yourself, if Russell Wilson has more time back there, maybe if Andrew Thomas is in the lineup, Malik Neighbors gets more catches. We're able to score more points. But you saw today Malik Neighbors making some nice 50-50 ball catches. You saw, just excellent route running from Malik, just the usual stuff that you would see from Malik Neighbors. But again, you saw the frustration from him today, and I thought it was warranted personally. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Brian Burns. Oh, my goodness. Brian Burns, he's someone that a lot of fans have been very excited and, pounding the table for Abdul, which granted, right? He's viewed as this generational prospect, understandably so. But a lot of people, especially in the building that work for the New York Giants, especially on Big Blue Kickoff, has spoken about how Brian Burns, wow, Brian Burns looks like he's on a mission this year, and that they would not be shocked if he is the one leading this New York Giants team in sacks. And I completely understand why. I mean, Brian Burns could have had 3 sacks today. Brian Burns was playing like a man with his head on fire today. Just, I thought he looked great today. Just on a team that really lacked a spark offensively, it was nice to see Brian Burns playing with the spark today, and playing with a little bit of fire in his ass. It was nice to see him in the backfield. Same with Kayvon. Kayvon, I thought, looked pretty good today. Got himself a sack, could have got himself another one, but I thought there were certain instances in the run game where he looked really good, especially when it came to setting the edge. And again, we're going to see how this team looks going forward. Today, this was not a good game for the New York Giants by any stretch of the matter. And you got to hope that they could really get a couple wins here down the stretch, because you're playing Dak Prescott, Mahomes, Justin Herbert in just a couple weeks. You cannot afford to, have the same performance that we saw today against the Commanders for the next 3 to 4 weeks. It's just unacceptable. Heads will roll if that's the case. But again, guys, I understand. I completely get it. Everyone's going to overreact. I'm not going to overreact. It sucks. You never want to start 0-1. But there were some things in this game that you can leave from and kind of put your hat on and feel good about. But understandably so, there was a lot in this game that you're saying to yourself, this is the same old New York Giants. And I understand if there's fans that are already feeling pessimistic, excuse me. But again, just the Giants just have to be better. They have to be better. The Commanders are a good team. They're no slouch. But the Giants have to be better. But that'll do it. That'll do it for now. Let me know what you guys think below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Giants are going to have another hard game next week going to Arlington. I'm looking to go to that game. As some of you guys know, I live in Texas myself. So looking to go to that game, hoping that if I do, this Giants team does not put on the same performance that we saw today. But let us know your thoughts below. We'll see you guys on the next video. Y'all be safe.